The next thing to look at is how you actually save your images. Most cameras come with a number of choices, at least two, the most common of which is to save as JPEG. And the issue with JPEG is it is compressed, so you are losing some quality. There are alternatives such as PNG where it's lossless compression. In other words, you're not losing the quality but still compressing, and it does quite a good job, almost compressing as much as JPEG. So you're getting as many shots on your memory card as you can with JPEG, but you're not losing as much information, or you're not losing any information. Both of which, of course, are kind of taking the mean average of the photograph, whereas the other alternative, which is RAW, literally records every single bit of data which hits the sensor on the camera. Now, RAW is particularly good at taking photographs in difficult conditions such as low light conditions, possibly in fast moving conditions, and RAW is really good quality. The disadvantage to RAW is its extremely large file size. And of course, if you're on holiday, if you can only take, say, 20-30 photographs on a memory card, that's a real limitation. In the same memory card, you could probably take hundreds, maybe even thousands of photographs in JPEG and PNG. So the recommendations really, well, you need to think about it. If you are happy that you will be able to get enough photographs or you have additional memory cards, you can definitely use RAW. RAW you will need to actually process before you can share it with any sort of device or individual, so you'll have to bring it in, and RAW unfortunately isn't a standard format, so every camera manufacturer at least has their own version of RAW, but it's not as big a problem with modern software to be able to incorporate the various RAW add-ons and plugins into your individual software, so that you can at least then look at the photographs and you can enhance and further and manipulate the photographs. And then it's up to you what you save them as. You can save them as uncompressed formats, of which there are many, or you can save them in compressed formats such as PNG, which do a really good job at keeping the actual sheer, pure essence of your photograph, and great for sharing.
Now, the other thing we've got to talk about is something called JPEG and RAW. When your camera takes a photo, what it does is it has all this information that comes onto the sensor. And most cameras are set up to save a JPEG image after you've taken the photo. And a JPEG image is a compressed version of what your camera saw. So your sensor saw an image, and the amount of information that was part of that image that hit the sensor was huge. It might be 40 or 50 megabytes. Now, just for a matter of practicality, so that the camera can write down a file that you can easily share to social media and sort of save and put in your photo libraries, it will probably be set up to save a JPEG image. And the JPEG image is what is produced after the camera takes that raw information, that sort of 50, 60 megabytes of information, and compresses it down and makes some sort of final decisions about what that image is going to look like. That is the point when the camera also implements things like your white balance setting, your picture profile setting. So it's making a whole bunch of decisions about the finished image that's going to be written to your SD card at that point. Those decisions can't be undone. Once those decisions are made, they're in the file permanently. But if you put your camera into RAW mode, it takes all that information that hit the sensor and that the camera saw, and it writes it to a RAW file. A RAW file isn't easy to share on social media, and you often need a very specific editing program, or any of the high-quality editing programs now can generally edit RAW files. It's a bigger file, and to get the most out of it, generally you do have to edit it. Not always, but generally you do. And you will have to bring it into an editor and turn it into a JPEG to share it. So those are the disadvantages of a RAW file. But it gives you a lot of flexibility in editing, and what it does allow you to do is if you screwed up one of your settings, or you picked a picture style or picture profile that really wasn't the best for that situation that you were in at the time, you think, oh, I wish I would have had a different picture style on, or oh, I wish the colors were different, or oh, I wish I would have got my white balance right, and I didn't get my white balance right. You'll bring that into editing. You'll be able to change all of that still. You have so much information to work with. So as a beginning photographer, I don't like to encourage people to go too far down the RAW path, but what I would say is remain aware of it, and For example, if you're going to a wedding or you're having a family trip or something that is an absolutely once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, a once-in-a-lifetime experience that you were never going to get the chance to do again, and you absolutely want to sort of document it as best you can, I would suggest set up your camera to shoot JPEG and RAW. This will take both photos. It'll take one photo and write to the card 2 files. The JPEG file, which is easy to share on social media and save and show your friends, and the RAW file, which has all the power of being able to change those colors and white balance and all these things in editing. Once again, the only disadvantage of this is going to take up a huge amount of space, so you probably want to make sure you got some extra SD cards on you, and you might want the ability, if you're on sort of a long trip, to have the ability to take some of those photos off the SD card and get them onto a computer or hard drive or onto your iPad or something like that. But if you're going to be having a once-in-a-lifetime experience that you're never going to get the chance to do again, then I would definitely be shooting JPEG and RAW.